Hello, everyone. This is Andrew Lewis, Artistic Director of Voce. We're sitting down virtually with Dr. Richard Freedman, and he's going to lead us in a little tour of space and time as it was understood in the Renaissance. Hello, Richard. Welcome.
Hi. We won't do all of time and space, but we will do musical space and time. How about that? Does that work?
I guess that's okay.
It's abstract. Yeah. So I thought we would begin, in some sense, at the end of the period that we're concerned with in these concerts and conversations. That is, about the late 16th century is what we're thinking. And here on the screen you see a duet by Thomas Morley, who was an important composer in the Elizabethan period. And this duet was published in 1595, I think is when the print came out. And it's part of many such pieces in the Renaissance. They were an important repertory of teaching pieces, of didactic pieces. They were for entertainment at home because you could make it with the simplest of resources. But there were also pieces that were kind of proving ground for musicians who wanted to learn and teach each other. And one of the interesting things about this piece, and what you see are the two voices which were issued in separate parts in the period, is that they're of equal ranges. And this allows the teacher and pupil to kind of trade roles. And of course you could transpose these if instead of two tenors or two sopranos, you needed two altos or two basses to sing the music. According to range, you could transpose. That would be fine. But the thing that's interesting about this piece, and I'll just play you the first phrase here. I've got a digital clavichord here. If we stay connected and I don't wreck the place, a little digital keyboard that sounds a bit like the kind of instrument, also short octave instrument, that would be a little bit like the instrument that you might have played on or used along with the lute. But let's just listen to these two voices. I'm going to play through the one voice and then the second and then combine them. And now the second voice mirrors that one, as you can see in the score. It's really the very same shape. It's at the same pitch. In a minute we could take it down an octave just to make this a little bit clearer. So they both have two shapes, an ascending shape, and that goes with itself. Sorry. They never really taught us to play in one direction and look in the other direction, so that doesn't work out very well. But first shape goes up, and then the second shape is a descending one, the top voice, and the other voice joins in with it. And then we reach a cadence. And it's nice in this piece that love's wounding here is combined with this moment of the cadence in which you can hear dissonance. First a third between the two voices, then the lower voice in the score, which is actually above at this point because it's leapt up the octave, it moves down while the other voice suspends, holds on to a note. And although you can't quite hear it on the clavichord, if you were singing this, you'd get a crush of dissonance of a second, which then resolves as the suspension moves downward and makes a third. So really the motion is, but because of the suspension, all together, now that's routine. In this period. Little imitative counterpoint, little suspension formula to get to the end. What's not routine is the C sharp that's notated in our modern edition. And in fact, if you look up here in the original, you can see that little cross. That's the sharp in the original. And what's very interesting about this is that that notated sharp on the pitch C is actually a kind of an imaginary note from the standpoint of Renaissance musical space, and indeed even the theory that Morley explains in this book. So let's move on to the next page here to understand what he's thinking about and how we understand this. A couple of key themes. Gamut. The gamut is the 22 or 23 steps of diatonic pitch space in the Renaissance. Imagine the white keys of the piano plus B flat, and those are all the notes that they have, except it's not the full range of the 7.5 octaves on the piano. It's the low G at the bottom of the baritone range, up to the high E that would be kind of what a boy soprano or a male falsettist could reasonably catch, up to there. It's that pitch space. And then B flat and B natural, that's the pitch space that we're talking about. And all of that comprises what's known as musica recta, that is, the real notes of musical space. Why we want to talk about musica recta will become clear because we're also going to talk about its evil twin, musica ficta, right? False, imaginary music. Got fake news today. Here in the Renaissance, they had fake notes. Next thing we want to talk about a little bit is mode. Mode is like the notion of key, but it's more linear. In the Renaissance, there were 8 of them inherited from the old system of medieval plain chant categorization. But the Renaissance also started to recognize modes beyond that 8-mode system, all the way up to 12. So instead of 2 modes each on 4 tones of the scale, D, E, F, and G, they recognized 12 modes on 6 notes of the scale, those 4, plus C and plus A. And C and A are interesting because they are also the ones that are closest to the major and minor key, and they're the kind of newcomers in a way. They kind of creep in the back door, probably through a lot of popular music is how they got in. And there are also 2 flavors to these modes, what's called an authentic version of the mode and a plagal one. They differ in range. All this language comes out of the world of plain song. That's where the theory of mode is kicked around. And Renaissance composers who write polyphony try to adapt, and theorists try to adapt that system of modality to explain polyphony, but it doesn't do a very good job. Right? It's like a legacy theory, maybe is the way. It's the analog in a digital world, maybe is the way to think about it.